Okay. Now, I was looking, and I noticed the couple of film screenplays, the Radioland Murders and Meet Joe Black, and to me, at least, is interpreting IMDb, it looked like you were in on the early stages of one and on the later stages of another. And I mean, you are working with your partner on that, but then it was like there were other writers that were brought in at different points and stuff like that. Did you find that to be kind of a jumbled mess, or was it you really didn't interact at all with the other people?
Those were two entirely different experiences. One, very good turned very bad. One very good. We off Moonlighting, we began to get a lot of rewrites on movies, production rewrites. These are films that are ready to go into production but still need another draft, and we got the more standard rewrites where you get 12 weeks to do a draft. In the case of Radioland Murders, that was a script. We came right off the strike in '88. That script had been around since '74. George Lucas had always wanted to do a Valentine to live radio. And he'd had a script written by Hike and Katz, who had written graffiti for him. And it didn't quite work. And there were some drafts in between. And so we came on with, George asked us to come in and pitch our take on it. And at the time, Ron Howard was going to direct it. So we had some wonderful meetings with the two of them. And we said, here is our issue. Here's why we think the script hasn't succeeded. You've been very plot driven. You've got all these characters, but it's really about the murders. We would like to go back and make it about the characters who get involved in the murders. And so in the original script by Hike and Katz, and I really hope none of you saw this movie because it's just, I wish I could take my name off it. But
which one?
Radioland Murders. But
I
didn't see it. No,
I've seen it.
I've seen it.
It's been a while. So.
I forgot about it.
Thank God.
Looking for it on Netflix now.
In the original script, the first murder happens on the whole story. It's a romantic comedy. It takes place in 6 hours. Man's going to be divorced. Divorce is going to be final at midnight. It's the first night of a new radio station coming on, and people start dying, and everything points to the hapless ex-husband to be. It's actually a very funny idea. And in the first draft, the first murder happens on page 2, and we don't really even care. And so our approach was to open the script with this long, if you will, introduction, opening. It's the countdown to going on air. And it's like 18 minutes long, following this one character all the way through backstage, and you interact with all the characters. And then about page 18, the first murder happens. So we did this draft, and then, of course, we got to know the characters, and then it was a more character-based script. We did the draft, and I'll never forget the phone call I got from George. I happened to be in the office the day he called, and he said he was just over the moon. He said, I've got 7 notes. And I thought, okay, that could mean like note 1 is rewrite the first act, note 2 the second. And it wasn't. It was literally on page 17. Can we make that line clearer? On page 29, could that joke be stronger? I mean, literally, he had 7 notes. It was, you never had a call like this before if you're a screenwriter. And from someone like George Lucas. So we were feeling pretty good. Well, Ron Howard, Parenthood, I'll try and keep this short. Ron Howard, just while we were doing it, Parenthood came out, big hit. He didn't want to follow a comedy with a comedy, so he decided to do the fire truck movie, Backdraft. George got very cold feet, and he only likes to work because of what happened on Howard the Duck, where he didn't have control of the situation and feels like he took it on the chin. He put this away. He approached a number of directors over the years, but so that was early 90s. Mid 90s, Jeff and I we have an animated show going, And he calls out of the blue and says, we're going to make this thing. I finally found a director I feel comfortable with, blah, 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 blah. And in the meantime, George made the mistake of seeing The Fugitive. And when I'm sorry?
I think we got a little
problem with Jeff's
technical
microphone.
I'm sorry, I dropped my mic again. I'm back. Sorry, guys.
So we got a director, and we met with him, and we did a rewrite for the director, very light rewrite. And then we were going to fly back to the East Coast. It was being filmed Wilmington, and he calls the day before. This is for rehearsals. We're going to go back for rehearsals. He calls the day before and says, you know what? I saw The Fugitive. This thing just moves like a freight train from frame one, and I've gone back to the hiking cats structure. And I've used your characters and your jokes, but I've gone back to that structure. Now, the script's waiting on my doorstep. They sent a car to pick me up to fly me back, and there's the script, and I take it. And I'm sitting on the plane, and George wouldn't know funny if it gave him a blowjob. He had left in punchlines without setups without punchlines. He had rewritten. It was god awful. And I always kept notes on the front of the script. And I wrote, the very first thing I wrote at the very top is, this is shit. Like 1-inch high letters. I don't know why. Then I began to write notes. I get very, very late, and I wake up the next morning. I can't sleep. It's like 5 a.m. I go to the local restaurant that serves every part of the pig. I don't eat meat. And I'm sitting there going over my notes, and I feel a presence. And I look over my shoulder, and it's George. And all he can see, the only note he can see is, this is shit. And it started. He sat down and said, look, I don't have faith in this script anymore. You're not going to get reviewed. I'm going to get reviewed. If I'm wrong, I will admit it. And you saw the resulting film. He never admitted he was wrong. It got universally horrendous reviews, and my name's on it. CAA at the time convinced us not to take it off and not to piss people off, and yeah. Meet Joe Black was much better. Was much better. The very short version of that is Martin Brest came to us and asked if we wanted to do a modern comedic take on Death Takes a Holiday. I loved the film, went back and watched it. It's horrendous. It's just, and they've done a few versions ever since that are just kind of horrendous. So we did it as My Man Godfrey, sort of a screwball comedy. And we had it in the first draft. In the meantime, George thought, you know what, there are more themes and issues here that probably deserve a more straightforward treatment. So we did it in the next draft that was closer to the film you saw. What he brought in, he's very slow. He takes forever, and so we had moved on. This was an 18-month period to essentially do 2 drafts. We moved on. He brought in Kevin Wade, a good writer, who basically changed the character of Susan, the girl, but the story was the same. Then he brought in Bo Goldman to do a polish. The funny thing, Bo Goldman lives up in the Napa Valley, I believe, and he disappeared for like 6 or 7 months. And then he came back with a script that was entirely different. And I guess Marty had an aneurysm and said, no, I want that structure. So more time was lost as he went back to our draft and stuck with it and rewrote the script. And basically, much of the dialogue is Bo Goldman. And I got to tell you, I was pretty impressed with it. I thought it turned out great. We called Marty afterwards and told him how, thrilled we were with it. And then, of course, the critics came out and skewered us once again.